Now, this is one of those heartbreaking questions that really has no perfect solution. Now, there's a couple suggestions I could go over, but it goes like this. What if both spouses are alcoholics? Okay, this is a very serious issue because largely, I'm sure their life kind of centers around drinking. They grew up in probably separate families that where normalized drinking was part of their life, where their parents might have drank. They grew up in a culture of drinking. Maybe that's how they got together. However, it manifested and now they both drink. Maybe one didn't drink that much and the other one influenced. When you have two people who are influencing each other, it's actually the perfect storm for a lot of very serious problems. You have two people that have a mental health issue, they're not going to be aware of it. There's no one there to tell them that they have a problem unless they get to their own rock bottom, unless one of them does and realizes, I don't want to live like this anymore, and is able to get out of it. Very difficult to do that when your support system is a fellow alcoholic. But let's continue the conversation. And the other thing to consider greatly is what if this couple has children and you're going to be an incredible influence on that child? If a child grows up with two alcoholic parents, it's a very dysfunctional situation. A lot of times that child will have to grow up earlier because eventually they're going to end up having to take care of themselves and probably parents. It's going to be a reverse role, and I've seen this many times when the child ends up taking care of the parents at 12, 13 years old because they got two dysfunctional parents. Very unfair on the child. I wouldn't wish a childhood like that on anybody. And unfortunately, it happens more often than we would really care to think about. And unfortunately, a lot of times, if they have children, a child can go either way. They can either become an alcoholic themselves, which is the easiest path, or a lot of times they become just the opposite. They become a teetotaler. They don't want to have anything to do with alcohol. And a lot of times they become an overachiever as a result of this very difficult and challenging childhood. But unfortunately, it's not a situation that offers any child an acceptable childhood. It's not something anybody would really want to go through. And I hope parents who are in this situation recognize and are able to get enough of the narcissism out of their brain to realize the effect that they're having on the next generation. And the real problem is when you have two people who really kind of feed off each other and part of the relationship is centered around the drinking. It's a toxicity, and it's a difficult situation to get out of that. Like I said earlier, the only way is one of the partners is going to have to get to the point where they hit their rock bottom, where they're tired of being hungover, they're tired of all probably financial problems, legal problems, their relationship problems. I can't imagine the dysfunction going on between two alcoholics. It's not a copacetic situation in any way. One of them would have to get out of that situation, and they would have to part ways to be successful. One of them would have to get out of their own way and recover on their own, or by some miracle if they were able to do it themselves. But the percentages and the statistically, that's not something that normally happens. We wish they would, but that's not something that normally happens. Usually one would break off and hopefully be the influence for the other one. And unfortunately, what happens in a lot of situations when one does break off, the alcoholic, will stay resentful. Like, oh, you're leaving me. You've parted our relationship. You no longer want to drink with me. You no longer want to do the things that we used to do. And there will be resentment from the alcoholic and gaslighting. You're actually the problem now. I'm not the problem. It can be very, very toxic, and it can easily drag the other person right back down. That's why it's a double-edged sword. It's that much more difficult if you have two alcoholics in the family. But we certainly wish them the best. Again, it's an individual thing. The individual has to break off. And again, I go live Monday through Friday, right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We talk about these issues and so much more having to do with my spouse and really anything to do with alcoholism in the family. The Facebook group is called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Link is in the bio. And also, when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, the coaching program was called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Breakthrough call, link is in the link tree. Go to the calendar link, set up a Zoom call. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour. We do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family. Then we set up a game plan on what to do. Call is free. Program is definitely not, but I want people who are ready to change their lives and the lives of their family. And again, thanks for listening.